This is a lockdown booty call. A lockdown booty call.
Welcome to episode 2 of Lockdown Booty Calls. My name is Robin Boot, and today I'm talking to singer-songwriter Elle Exxe. Now, I've known Elle Exxe for a long time now, maybe 8 or 9 years. She's always done things her own way in the music industry. She's naturally gifted, but has a very, very strong work ethic as well. We discussed the effects of these uncertain times on mental health for performers, and also chatted about how setting challenges can help you stay focused and creative. If you enjoy this podcast, please do share it and check out the other episodes. It's available as a webcast too, and you can find that on YouTube. Elle Exxe, welcome to Lockdown Booty Calls podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest. I'm very much looking forward to this. First of all, how are you and where are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. And I am at home.
You're at home. Okay. Can you elaborate on that slightly? For those of you who are watching, you'll notice a very interesting background. That is not your normal house. It's not a line-drawn house. Or is it? Maybe.
I dare you. This is my house. See, can't you see that is more than... Behind me, there are 3D elements to my 2D house. For reals. I have a very ugly, messy looking room behind me, so I enjoy creating some different backgrounds on Zoom. It's one of my favorite pastimes. And this is a 2D room, which is actually something that I am in the middle of creating for real. I'm building a studio in my garden, and the whole design is based around this 2D style. So every single line in my new studio is going to be painted with a black outline.
Why not? It's your studio. You can do what you want, really. But that is a really useful lockdown hack, because I imagine there are lots of people who are on Zoom meetings and Zoom conferences and everything. But if you put enough effort into researching your backgrounds, you can get away through this whole quarantine period without doing any tidying or cleaning in your house, is basically what you're saying.
Yeah. It's although we actually have had to tidy. We had some people filming in the house on Monday, and it forced us to clean many a space in our house. That's the one problem with open plan, is like if you've got one room that's messy, say your kitchen, it's okay because you can go and hang out in the living room. But when it's open plan, it's like the kitchen, the living room.
The room is messy.
Yeah, exactly. The room. So annoying.
So you either need to be tidier or have some walls put in. That's going to be a lesson.
I think though, if we put walls in, I'd just be in a little box, a coffin-sized box that I'd have to wander around in.
So you're in West London?
Yes.
At the moment, and
are you trying to get my postcode or something?
I already have your postcode, and maybe we can share that with one lucky listener at the end.
No.
Okay, then
no. Cancel that right now.
But are you? What have you got around you? What are your comfort items or your necessary items for this weird period?
So I'm a musician, so basically instruments and studio equipment, that's what I collect, and that's what keeps me happy. So as long as a working laptop, that's the number one most important thing for lockdown. If you haven't got a working laptop, I salute you. I just don't know how people do without one. I guess that's what having my laptop makes me feel like everything's normal. But when the laptop goes down, you just don't want to be around me.
Then you're really alone, and nobody.
I'm truly alone. Exactly. I'll grow a beard like you.
Yeah, this has nearly come off, actually. I've almost gone completely bonkers and thought, oh, how can I make this world a better place? Maybe shave everything. But
well, I heard that like beard hair and stuff is quite good for birds building nests and things like that. So you might help something. So
it's my way of giving back. I should go out and stand in the garden and just shave everything off. Yeah. Elle Exxe, you're normally always busy. Whenever I speak to you, you're either jetting around the world, playing different concerts in all sorts of different countries, or you're recording, or you're writing. What would you normally be doing right now if we weren't under lockdown?
Well, I would have had some gigs coming up. I'm featuring on there's a duo called The Prototypes, and I'm featuring on their next record, and the song that I've done with them is set to be a single, and that would have been coming out about now. And we had a couple of sold out shows that we would have been playing, and I was super hyped for that. But now, of course, they've put I think all the dates have been kind of pushed back now, and who knows what's happening. I'm just hoping that they still release the song, to be honest.
I think that's one of the things that artists or creatives are having to adapt to, with just the general unknown, gigs being cancelled, theatre being cancelled, everything live being cancelled. And if that's what you live for, it is a very weird and slightly scary period. But are you doing anything? Are you adapting? Are you evolving in order to stay creative?
So I have this at the start of this year. I made a kind of plan, which was my 2020 plan, which actually is still in motion, even though lockdown and all of this stuff has happened. So I'm releasing a song on the 20th of every second month, and then on the months in between, I'm putting out an acoustic version of that song. So I just released, I think it was just last week, 20th of April, or I guess that will be 2 weeks ago. I put out a song called Before I Break, and that is raising some money for a couple of charities. And that sort of thing has kept me incredibly occupied. I don't actually feel any less busy in lockdown. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Which charities, just as a matter of interest?
Yeah, so that's to Rethink Mental Illness, and another one called Shout, which is a crisis text line. So if you're in crisis, the number is 85258. And you just text them and they'll text you back advice and things like that. Show you.
And were these charities that you had done things for in the past, or is it particularly in this period where mental health matters are even more prevalent than they were before?
Yeah, I mean, mental health is something that I was passionate about anyway. I was hoping to do some seminars and stuff at a few businesses about mental health and music and all of that stuff, but of course that's another thing that got cancelled. But right now, I think I read a stat or something that 60% of musicians are saying that they've had a mental health problem caused by the C word. And so there's a lot of people in crisis right now. And my song, Before I Break, is quite an emotional and challenging song in some ways. And I wanted it to be relatable for people, and I didn't want to censor some of the negative thinking that went into that song. I was in a very negative space when I wrote it, so I didn't want to remove that, because I wanted people to feel the ugly truths that they might be living right now. I didn't want to hide from it, basically. I wanted them to
see the true version of what you were trying to put into the song without any sort of airbrushing or post-production. When I say post-production,
I didn't want to soften it.
Process. Yeah.
But I was also actually genuinely a little bit scared that having a song with these negative sentiments might actually cause a negative impact on someone. You know, everybody was telling me to put out cheerful songs, and I was like, oh, I'm about to put out a bit of a hard one. But as I say, I wanted the people that are going through this to have something to relate to and to feel like they're less alone, because they're hearing their story in a song or whatever. And if I softened that, or if I kind of denied that I was having these negative thoughts, then it would not help anybody, basically. But at the same time, I was like, if this song is something that people are going to listen to in a difficult time, then I need them to know that not only are they not alone by hearing the song and hearing that there's somebody that's feeling the same things, but also, hey, make sure that you go to Rethink or go to Shout to get some actual help if you need it. Because that's the thing, that when you're in this dark space, you often don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to reach out to anyone. You know, you want to I know that when I heard the lyrics of my song back, I was kind of thinking, I surely I didn't think that. Do you know what I mean? I was in a dark space, and then when you're in the light space, you're like, surely I never had those negative thoughts. Why did I think that way? Like, that's not me. But the thing is that it is all a part of us, and I didn't want to hide it, and I didn't want them to feel like there wasn't somewhere they could go if they were feeling that way.
And I think it's very easy in today's world of social media and being selective about what you choose to post, and often only posting the good bits and the high moments, and it makes everyone's life look all peachy. And we often forget that the low moments affect everybody, and especially I think I've been chatting to a lot of my friends who lost pretty much everything in the current time, and I think it's important to talk about these things which would at times be taboo, and everyone's mental health goes up and down. If it doesn't, you're either very, very lucky or lying to people around you and yourself. So I think it's good. So where can people find this music?
Everywhere. So best way is to search my last name, which is EXXE. And the song that's out right now is Before I Break. So if you just search EXXE Before I Break, it will come up.
Fantastic. I haven't listened to that yet, but I will do. Elle, you were saying that you're busier now almost than you were before the lockdown period. And I'm just wondering how you're managing to stay focused and motivated, and how you're able to just keep creating when the world around us is apparently crumbling.
Yeah, so it goes a lot to that 2020 project thing, because I've got set dates where I need things to come out. So knowing that I have to put music out on the 20th of each month forces me to prepare the artwork, prepare the recordings. And I've been trying to be more self-reliant. So I'm actually recording the piano from home, recording the vocals from home. I'm trying to mix it and master it myself, which aren't skills that I tried before. And I wonder actually if I would have tried them had I not been in lockdown. But yeah, for anyone else out there, I would definitely recommend creating goals from your dreams, because you can still achieve lots of things in lockdown. There's so much that you can do, like learning skills, but it's learning skills is one thing, because I think that's quite hard for people in a way, because you can't necessarily set deadlines. But maybe you can say, like, if you were, for example, to learn the bass, maybe you could say to yourself, well, on the 20th of May, I'm gonna post a video of myself on Facebook to my friends playing whatever your favorite bass song is. I mean, hopefully you have a favorite bass song that's quite easy to play, because 20 days to learn that might be challenging. But then again, you can take on a challenge right now, potentially. So yeah, I would say setting deadlines that have some sort of public accountability, because I would be very embarrassed, for example, if I didn't release my music on the 20th, having told everyone that I'm releasing the music on the 20th. Especially while everyone's at home, and they might actually notice that the 20th might pop up and they're like, oh, Elle's not released her song today. She said she would do that.
That's making me feel slightly nervous about releasing this podcast after I've already said I've announced the launch date. So yeah, so I know that I've known you for 8 years now, I think, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, when I was 9 years old.
When you were 9 years old, and I'm a bit older than you. I must have been 12 or something like that. But I think it's fair to say that you are a perfectionist. You like to do things your way. Second best is not good enough. And I was just wondering, in terms of your creative process, because you do have to have routine and you have to be strict sometimes. Yeah. And I was just wondering, we were discussing beforehand about doing multiple takes and getting it right. And do you have a routine in your day-to-day life at the moment, or do you have to do it on feel?
The dream is to do option 1, but option 2 is what I do. So I wake up probably about 8:30, usually, because the builder...
AM.
Yeah, 8:30 a.m.
Yep.
Usually the builder needs me to give him a power outlet, so I have to go down and...
That's not a euphemism.
And then I make myself some breakfast, and I love to watch TV while I eat. So I'll start watching an episode of something. I don't often finish whatever I'm watching. I'll watch like half an hour or something like that. And then I'll go, actually, no, I think I'll have a coffee and some chocolate after my breakfast. And so I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll watch another 15 minutes of TV. And then I wander upstairs and I sit down at my laptop and I look at my emails and I think, I hate emails. And then I'll wander around the house, maybe look at my phone. Oh, something's popped up on Instagram. Let me look at that. Oh, there's a lot of things to look at on Instagram. I'll keep looking at this. And that's generally how my day begins. And then there comes a point where I'm like, come on, Elle, like you need to get your stuff together and do some bloody work. And then I'll work really hard for a few hours. And it depends on what I'm working on. But I spend a lot of the day procrastinating. And I don't want to lie about it because I know that people listening are so stressed right now looking at other people on Instagram saying, oh, they're so much more productive than me. But the reality is you can put a video out on Instagram every day and suddenly everyone thinks you're busy every day. But no, these are videos from years ago or whatever, you know.
That's interesting. In episode 1 of this podcast, I spoke to Paul Stilkey White, and his approach and answer could not have been any more different from yours. Because I'm a little bit like you. I am excellent at procrastinating. There's always something that could distract me, and he was just talking about ways to limit those distractions and making sure you do have a routine, and just the fact of sitting with a pen and paper and actually saying, I'm going to do 1 hour of writing every day. And just the fact of writing anything is a start, is a first draft.
That's great. And I said at the start of this year, I said, right, I'm going to make myself really easy goals. I'm going to do 10 minutes of exercise a day. Because I know that if I do 10 minutes, in reality, I'll probably do half an hour. And then I was like, I'm going to do 20 minutes of practice a day. And again, I know once I've started that I'm on a roll. So if I just say I'm going to do, to be fair, I probably should have said, I'm just going to do 5 minutes of each of these things. And then I might have actually done it. But I don't know. I'm not somebody that can get into a routine. The only thing I can do is brush my teeth every morning and eat breakfast. And I brush my teeth and wash my face at night. Like that's the only routine I have ever managed to get in. But that being said, I do work incredibly hard when I do work. And when I do work and I get into a role, I can't stop working and I'll work until, very late hours or sometimes I just keep working and I forget to sleep or I forget to eat and things like that. It's just an all or nothing type of situation for me, which I'm trying to get out of, but to me, it's not natural to have a routine.
That's actually a bit of a relief for me because I've been feeling guilty for not having those creative juices flowing, and it's been quite tricky. And I'm thinking, I've got time on my hands. Why aren't I producing things? Why am I watching things? Why am I in the fridge again for the 12th time today? It's quite nice hearing that from someone like you who has the ability to create and produce some really fantastic music, but doing it your way. And as I said, going back to the whole social media thing where people are posting how fabulous their lockdown has been and whether it's all about homeschooling and their full timetables or whether it's they're creating stuff or they're doing live streams and look at me, I'm busy and everything I'm doing is great. So I think that's something to take out of this. If you take anything out of this podcast at all, people who are listening, is different people need different approaches, and don't be hard on yourself if you're not necessarily producing at the same rate as somebody else. I'm going to flip things around a little bit. Have there been any moments in the last few weeks that have made you question your sanity?
I don't think so. I feel like I've been quite self-aware, if I'm honest, and aware of when I'm going into a dip and when I'm coming up and things like that. The most intense moments for me are, a few days before release comes out. So within lockdown, I've had 2 releases. I had the acoustic version, and then I had the Before I Break come out recently. And the days before those come out, I'm freaking out and I'm kind of like, tense, and I can't. But I know that I'm self-aware because I'll even say to Addie, who's living here, Uh,
Your housemate.
my housemate. My
Well, I spoke to you
housemate
2 weeks ago. He
Andy.
was your husband, but now he's just your housemate.
And he's still here. I thought he was.
Yeah.
Can he not go off to some country? I don't
Has,
know. Like.
has this got anything to do with the 8:30 call from the builder every morning?
Anyway, I kind of just gave him fair warning. I was like, you need to be nice to me for the next 3 days because I'm going to be losing my mind a little bit. So, you have to just be extra kind to me because if I'm flipping out about something, it's just because I have this impending doom upon me, So that's the only thing really. And I suppose in reality, the bit that made me think I was insane about that was that once Before I Break came out, I had so many people messaging me saying it was like their favorite song that I'd ever released. And I genuinely thought I was going to get a load of hate for that song. And so hearing that actually people loved it and they were passionate about it and they were sharing it and being so kind, I was just like, why was I so crazy before this? Why was I so worried? And then, I've just been proven that I'm silly. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you are a perfectionist, you can be your own worst enemy. Well, I know I'm a big fan of your music, so don't be so hard on yourself.
I know. It's just it's a hard, but then you get hard on yourself for being hard on yourself, don't you? You're like, oh, why am I so mean to myself? Oh, I'm so rubbish because I'm so mean to myself. And then you're like, oh, I'm being mean about being mean to myself. What am I gonna do? Yeah, being inside my head can be a bit frustrating at the best of times.
Staying on the music theme, are you listening to other artists at the moment? Is there anything that helps you keep motivated or inspired, or any particular artists that you may be learning from their experiences?
Yeah, so my big one is Lizzo. I saw her probably about 4 years ago, I think. I was playing out at a festival called South by Southwest. And I'd looked at the listings before I went and I'd heard one of her songs and I was like, oh my goodness, this girl is amazing. And I went, and as much as like I thought she was amazing on record, I didn't know what she would be like in real life. And seeing her in real life was incredible because she's a big character and she's a big girl, and she had 2 big girl dancers as well, and they do call themselves the big girls, you know what I mean? And they were like twerking and all this stuff. And I'd actually just never seen anything like that before. I was like, oh my goodness, the confidence, and these girls are so sassy and strong and all that stuff. So when I got home, I started following her journey, and I saw how much work she was doing. She kept releasing song after song that was just top quality, and the music videos were amazing. And she went on tour with Haim and stuff like that. And as much as she was doing all this amazing stuff, to me, I was thinking, well, why isn't she getting the recognition for that? You know, I mean, no one was playing her on radio here. Nobody knew who she was here. I don't know what it was like in America, but it's a big place. I'm guessing most Americans didn't know who she was. And I was just so frustrated seeing that, especially as an artist myself, and feeling like I wasn't getting any recognition for what I was doing, and I was losing a lot of money doing what I was doing. And so I was in quite a frustrated mindset for myself, but then I felt quadruply frustrated seeing somebody that could rap, that could sing, that was dancing like crazy, that had that X factor, and she wasn't getting where she deserved to be. And it kind of made me feel like, well, if she can't do it, then I can't do it. But then I don't know what happened, but I think it was last year she had a song called Juice that suddenly started getting played on Radio 1 on Annie Mac's show. And then it was played across all the shows. And then, I don't know, she's just been on this massive roll. She's won Grammys. She's been absolutely everywhere. Her songs, you cannot watch television without hearing her songs in the background. And sync, I was telling you earlier about sync. Sync is when you get your music synchronized to TV adverts and stuff like that. That's a very lucrative space to be because adverts really do pay, and movies have big budgets and stuff. So finally musicians actually get paid something. So I just know that she's rolling in money right now, and I couldn't be more happy and inspired, because I was like, oh wait, I was about to give up because I thought you weren't going to make it, but you did. So I thought, I better start working quickly, because I might have taken my foot off the gas when I thought, when I thought there was no chance. But she's been my inspiration for the last year or two.
And so watching that journey over 4 years, where she's obviously got raw talent and doing everything right, but just not being seen, and finally gets that break she needs, and is
that was
now
huge for
a
me.
household name. Yeah.
And you're talking about, I think she must be 32 now. Everything was set up against her, really. She was a proper underdog, but with the craziest talent, like so much more talented than so many of the artists you see up there. So.
But maybe didn't quite fit the image of what
who knows what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, now she's being celebrated for it, because of course there's this huge body positive movement, so it's almost like a benefit. But I don't know, it's crazy.
Well, if you need a slightly curvaceous backing dancer for any of your live gigs, I'm more than happy to put in the time and effort in the fridge. And,
you've been there before.
Yes, we have been there before. That was an interesting day's filming. If you haven't seen Elle Exxe's music video for her track Lately, which must have been about 4 years ago now, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, I
must have been 16 then.
And I must have been barely legal myself. So I do urge you to try and check out that. Google Lately by Elle Exxe, and you'll see a little cameo from a very dashing drag queen. Would you say that? It was an interesting phase. I was playing your alter ego. It's very hard to tell us apart.
Yourself.
I don't need to define myself. You told me exactly what I should do and exactly what I should be wearing.
It was your idea.
So technically,
I'm actually wearing the same bra that I wore that day.
Me too.
There you go. That's the number one thing you've got to say on a booty call. What are you wearing, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Did I not ask you that at the start? We need to start this again. Oh well, next time.
Okay.
Outside of music, what else are you doing? I've seen some of your TikTok videos. It seems like you are terrorizing Addy to much success. What else are you doing to find that balance?
So other than jumping out on people and surprising them, I've been doing a Thriving Thursday fitness workout with a personal trainer live on Instagram. We started it right at the beginning of lockdown, just because it seemed, actually, credit where credit's due, because I was watching somebody else doing a workout and they were drinking the C word beer. Can you say the C word if it's about the beer rather than the virus?
I'd have to speak to my legal team about that. I don't fully know, but
well, they don't endorse me, so like maybe it was Budweiser, and he was doing a workout, and I thought, you know what, like, because I at that point just had flicked on my phone and seen them working out, and I happened to have just finished my workout, and I thought, oh, you know what, I didn't give very much in my workout, so maybe I could give a little bit more, and I'll follow their workout. And it was really fun, and I felt way more motivated because I was watching two people doing it live, and we could interact like on the messages in between breathing bits. Although when I decided to start doing it, I did it with Olu, and he's like proper hardcore, so he's not really given me many spaces to breathe and like just have banter with people. So yeah, it's actually a real workout that we do. And it's been really good for me, just because I would love to work out with Olu every week anyway. So I'm just doing the same thing, but I've got the accountability of everybody watching and getting involved. And yeah, he's building it up every week, and everyone's getting stronger. So it's quite cool.
And that's on all your social media channels?
Just on Instagram.
Just on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be posting links to all of your channels.
Yeah, they can get involved if they want to come laugh at me sweating.
Yeah, if you want to come and laugh at me sweating, then just send me a message. I've got nothing else to do, and I'm sweating a lot at the moment.
Just give the postcode.
Yes. That one lucky person will be getting a postcode prize at the end. The postcode lottery. Is that what the postcode lottery is?
I always wondered.
So You seem to be coping and adapting quite well with the lockdown, and you've got your own way of staying creative and focused and inspired. How do you think the whole face of the industry and performing general will have to evolve as a result of what's been going on?
Yeah, I'm quite scared for the future right now. There's a lot of venues and things that are going to be going bankrupt during this time, because how they pay staff, how they pay their rent, all of that stuff, it's just a nightmare for them. Also, I've never really seen music as competitive, but in reality, when we come out of lockdown, every artist, every band will be wanting to gig. So to try and get gigs, I don't know how I'm gonna get gigs even, festivals and stuff like that. If the festivals had lineups for this year, most of those lineups are then probably going to be booked for next year.
And just transferred over, yeah.
But then what about all the other artists, And also because of this lockdown, more and more people have been writing and recording. So everybody's going to be releasing. Everybody's going to be trying to get on all of the festivals. And I don't know, it actually makes me feel just a little bit sick thinking about it. And the other thing is that I've got quite used to this hermit life. I think secretly I've been training all my life for lockdown, and that's why I'm doing okay. Do you know what I mean? But I've got paranoia, maybe hypochondria, about the idea of maybe feeling a bit agoraphobic when all this ends. And I'm glad to be talking to you. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know what am I going to be like? I've not spoken to a group of people in forever. Like, will I know how to have normal conversations with people? Am I going to have mad social anxiety? Like, I actually just feel like staying in my house for the rest of my life now. It's like,
and just little things like remembering to put clothing on the lower part of your body when you leave the house. I'm very much in Zoom mode, and
I mean,
it's nice to be all
you can
free
see my
and
knee.
open.
Do you want to see my knee?
Oh, wow. For those of you listening to the podcast, I don't know. It's quite an interesting little bonus you've got for the...
I've got socks on.
Check it. Check. For those listening to the podcast, please do check out the webcast version of this for a little treat. It's like going back to Victorian era where...
I've got your tongue twisted.
We're showing too much ankle. Yeah, wow, lost for words. Not great for a podcast, but thank you for that. That's put a smile on my face.
It's a pleasure.
We are very near the end of this podcast. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. I think we should speak more often as well, just purely to remember how to speak to people outside of our
exactly
own
right.
You've just released Before I Break a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And presumably, are you going to do the acoustic version?
Yeah, so the acoustics, you've cottoned onto it already. So in 20 days, actually, no, it won't be 20 days when this comes out. So it's on the 20th of May. Yeah, that's the best way of putting it.
So check out the full version of Before I Break already, and then on the 20th of May you can see the piano version. I'll be looking forward to that. And then, do you know what the next one is going to be?
I do. Shall I tell you what it's called?
Oh yes, please do.
It's called Good to Be Me.
Good to me be. Yes. We're having some digital issues where my
tongue doesn't work.
There's a connection breakdown between my brain and my mouth. Good to be me. Yeah. Oh, it's been a long week, hasn't it? Oh, okay. And is that a heartfelt one, or is it a bit more upbeat? Or, well, there can be both, obviously, but
it probably is both. I mean, it is a heartfelt one, but it's a happy one. So, Before I Break was a bit of a sad one. Good to Be Me is definitely a happy one.
Great. I look forward to that. I will be checking that out as soon as I press stop record on this.
Good luck checking it out when it's not being released.
Oh, this has been an interesting one, hasn't it? What day is it? Where am I?
Thursday. It's Friday.
Elle Exxe, before we leave you, do you have any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners, especially relevant for this lockdown period?
I think it's just to stay grounded. And my way of doing that, and I never thought that I'd be the one to shout about affirmations, but for me, that's what I do, and it resets my brain just like that. And I feel better instantly. Is I just say to myself, I sing every day, I dance every day, I laugh every day. And if it doesn't work the first time, I say it a few more times to myself. And as long as I am singing every day, laughing every day, and dancing every day, how bad can life be?
I think that's a very good little motto to live life by.
I think it is like scientifically proven. The chemicals that dancing and laughing and all of that stuff release is going to make you feel better.
And you can't argue with science. It's one thing we've learnt, I hope.
Have you tried injecting disinfectant?
Not recently. My university days were quite wild, but we won't go into that. And that may probably be a completely lost reference anyway by the time this goes out. But yeah, don't. For those people who are listening, don't inject yourself with disinfectant. That's the There's maybe 4 things to take out of this: sing every day, laugh every day, dance every day. Don't inject yourself with disinfectant.
Okay, can that be the title of this?
Yeah, that's that. We're changing the name of the podcast. Lovely.
But you need an episode title, don't you?
I don't know. I'm learning more about podcasts every time I speak to you. So yeah, Elle Exxe, thank you so much for coming on Lockdown Booty Calls. I've had a lot of fun chatting to you, and you've shared some real nuggets of wisdom as well. So thanks again. All the best for the future.
Thank you.
And I hope to speak to you soon. And everyone listening and watching, please go and check out all of Elle Exxe's music. It really is fantastic and worth a listen to.
This is a lockdown booty call.